Void. We're here with Karina from High Tension. How are you, Karina?
I'm very well.
What are you guys working on at the moment? Are you kind of writing stuff or?
Yeah, we're writing our third album.
Yay!
And it's very exciting because we have 2 new members in the band, and the writing process feels like very new, obviously, with 2 different members, and I'm really, really excited about it. I'm a little bit daunted as well.
Yeah?
But it's a good thing. I think that's normal.
Yeah, well, it's good to have pressure. It's kind of cool.
I think like if I look back on, our second show, we got like our first show.
Like ever.
Yeah, our first show ever with High Tension was we just played at the Gas with Spod, and that was really fun. And then we got offered to support Karnivool, and which we thought was like quite a great opportunity, and they're all really genuinely amazing dudes.
That's a really cool opportunity. That's a cool mix as well.
Yeah, totally. And it was like our second show was at the
Metro?
Yeah, it was at the Metro.
Sick.
Oh no, at Waves in Wollongong, and then the Metro. And talking about pressure and stuff, like I didn't actually have lyrics for half the set. So, and like we'd signed with the booking agent, and he came, and like a few weeks before I was like, oh, g'day Mark, like nice to meet you. I was like, thank fuck that, I can maybe get away with this, with this kind of vocal style, and I thought that was really
Was
fun.
it fun? Was it like super fun? Like
Yeah, of course. It was really fun.
Where are the best faces you've seen on tour? Like when they see you kind of let rip?
I get a lot of feedback from people that that are in the audience, people I know, and then they'll overhear things. And sometimes people will come and tell me. I remember when we played that show in Wollongong, this young gentleman came up to me and said, "Oh, when you came on stage with that leather dress, I was just like, fuck, I don't know what the fuck is this?" So there's already that established prejudice, I guess, that they're not going to like it because it's a different element, and they're probably expecting like some operatic female thing or whatever. And then he was just like, oh, but, fuck, I loved it, And then I remember like one of my favorite ones is my husband we were supporting King Parrot. And
they're a great band. They're probably the funnest band to shoot ever.
I absolutely love King Parrot to bits, and I have used this as a joke when we were on tour with them, that they have really taken us under their wing, and they invited us to support them at their Northcote show, and this was after they had just done their shit on the liver thing. So I was like already a massive fan, and Slats was just like, Matt Weston, when are our 2 bands going to play? And I just thought, like, for me that moment was very much like feeling that fulfillment of like, I would love to play with that band. And then we got to tour with them, which was really incredible. But when we supported them, my husband was telling me, like, he was in the crowd, and a King Parrot fan was like, oh man, this is really bad, but like, he was talking to a mate and he was just listening in. He was like, this is really bad, but when that Asian girl came out, I was just like, oh fuck, this is gonna be shit. He's like, and he's like, oh, King Parrot better be good though, because High Tension's getting all my merch money. So, like that's nice.
What's been your favourite video to do?
Oh, definitely Bully.
Yeah.
So Bully was quite a special song because normally when we write songs, it starts with a riff, and it's usually like either Matt or at the time Ash coming up with something, and then we build on that. I'm very like a backseat driver, and often I will like, refuse to like go ahead with the riff if I'm not into it.
This sucks.
It's not heavy enough or whatever.
Yeah.
But for Bully specifically, I had this very like clear idea of what I wanted, and I was just like, right, this is what we're gonna do. I was like, Damien, play this, like this beat that is this BPM. Ash, you do something really sleazy, and Matt, you just like, I don't know, do whatever the fuck you do. And it really came together. So that was, and that was like it's one of my favorite songs, and
it's so good.
And on that album, it was like, it's definitely one of my favorites, and one of my favorites to play because it's really hypnotic, and it's sort of like, so for that particular song, that was when I felt like, you know, I like, that's when I felt like that it was, I controlled that song.
You're in the pocket.
That was we orchestrated that together, but I felt good about it being a different approach.
Well, yeah.
So
you externalized what you were feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Into people, like,
yeah,
like
exactly. And
sick, dude.
I'm lucky to have a band that are open. There's no hierarchy into like who gets to contribute what. Yeah. But you know,
that's sick, dude. Like, it's
yeah. Oh, totally. I wouldn't be in a band with people that
suck.
You know, that was very like controlling or
just show up and just, you know.
Yeah. But when we wrote that song, and we were talking about the video, we had all these ideas because it was like dictated by when we played that song live. It just kind of would.
It's got groove.
Yeah, it's got this groove, and so the guys had all these ideas, and then I'd kind of like contemplated about like, no, this song feels like it's like a fight. Like it's really like I just want to punch shit, and then I don't know. And then I was just sort of thinking about like I'd never really been open about. I never really approached anything like as a woman trying to sort of navigate being like in this very like male-dominated environments. I never saw it as a hindrance because I had this like theory in my head that if I don't act like it's a problem, no one's going to notice. No one's going to.
It's like being a
no one.
director. Yeah.
No one's
the main
going
thing
to.
is showing up.
Yeah. No one's going to treat me differently if I see myself as an equal. So I was always very reluctant to talk, to kind of like deep down reflect on some of the anxieties that I had, some of the like self-doubts that I had. So it kind of like made me think about, I guess, why I was afraid to start a hardcore band, because I felt like, or start a heavy band, because I honestly felt that, you know,
that perception.
You know, well, it's like those two examples of those dudes like, oh, what the fuck is this going to be? And it is that. It's like, how do we kind of like respond to you know, how can I exist on something that's like totally established? And I'm not saying I'm the only woman that does this, but you know, that was
You're a rarity though.
Well, it was just my personal experience of how I navigated through all of that, and so it was very it was like I felt like I had turned a leaf when I addressed that that issue that I had within myself, and I just wrote a very like simple email explaining, like, you know, and I thought I was really afraid like how people would react, but I invited a couple of girls that I really looked up to, like Jelena from Outright, and some of my really close friends, and we like, you know, Matt like spoke with some MMA fighters, and we were having the most deepest conversations. And when we shot that video, I felt that I had missed the sisterhood so much, and like feeling that support of other women. And it was almost like, because it was something that I'd never really addressed properly, just personally, I didn't even have to communicate anything, but I almost like was brought to tears when I saw all these like girls rock up on a Saturday. Some of them like totally hungover, and they're like there because they knew
they want to be a part of this.
They knew what the fuck I was going on about, and I was so afraid of like talking about it.
It's funny. It's like there's this aggression. It's like the flip of that is there is this support, and there is this like, you know, women kind of going, wow, like you're doing it, and I feel that, and you're lifting us all, like, you know what I mean?
It is that like feeling that embrace, and you know, I feel it all the time. Like I'm so proud of women, you know, all the time, and you know, I feel, you know, I can get very emotional or teary if I hear of like a story that I can totally relate to, because we've we've suffered through all of that. Like I feel like
We
there's
share
that-
a lot of the same suffering.
yeah, exactly. And you know, even like if I'm like close with a woman, I can feel like if they have period pain. Like I have felt period pain by proxy.
That's pretty interesting.
You know, and things like that. There's all these like incredible, powerful elements that women have.
We have a 7 times stronger
That-
sense of smell.
Exactly. And and I felt like that day, I just felt like this is what I have missed. And now, like, I just felt like so much more embraced, and I just felt like so much comfortable with my voice because I didn't feel so alone, I guess.
Yeah. How did you get into music and like evolve through? Because you've been in a few bands prior as well.
I think that, like, you know, I think music is a very powerful aspect of, I mean, you know, a lot of people's lives, I guess. But for me, I think it was important because it transcended like the language barrier, I guess, growing up in Indonesia. But also, you know, I grew up in Canberra, like moving from a place like Jakarta at the time of 14 million people to a place like Canberra, which is very
Different.
very different, very, very sterile. But, you know, when I turned 18 and I started going to hardcore shows, it kind of expressed and communicated so much that it was, you know, like finding a missing piece of the puzzle. And it was through hardcore that it was a real tipping point for me, I guess.
You found your thing.
And one of my one band that made me feel incredible, and that, you know, gave me that sort of desire to try. And it's often hard to articulate when you have a connection with something, or it's sort of like
It speaks to you, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's like what they call it, like the state of flow. Like when you do something and nothing else even exists. Like, you know, there's actually, you are only there, sort of thing.
Yeah, and you know, the band that I really loved and is still a big influence is a band called Spod from Canberra. And John, I found out, the singer, who is the funnest, like most incredible, and I like when I reminisce, I just like think of the, you know, how I felt when I was going to these Spod shows in Canberra. But John actually spent a time in Jakarta, which
That's interesting.
yeah, so which I thought was really interesting because, you know, a lot of the expression that I feel like is necessary when I play music is very much connected to that kind of generational trauma, or like repressed anger, and all of those sorts of things that I experienced when I was a teenager.
And coming here, or?
Yeah, well, experiencing living in, like, born in Indonesia, experiencing living in Australia, seeing how things could be, and then going back and, you know, being a 14-year-old and questioning everything. So you know, it's I guess I mean, that's my personal
Experience. Yeah.
experience of why, you know, it's important for me to have an outlet.
Music, I think, is a good way to get it because it's primal. And you maybe can get a message through when you're kind of got, you know, and hardcore as well. It's, you know, it's about this kind of force.
Yeah, I think, you know, like I was just having a conversation with a friend today who is, you know, a couple of years older than me, and he's just played music all his life in like incredible hardcore and punk bands. And he said, if I didn't have music, you know, I don't want to be that person. You know, like I can't imagine myself being stuck in a position of like just
Not
life
creating.
is just about work. And I think, you know, human beings have, you know, this innate need to make things, to create, to produce, and it can be in different ways of contributing to, you know.
What's it been like, sort of, you coming up? Because I think there's a lot of respect for what you guys are doing.
I think that when we started, so I like messaged Matt Weston, and, you know, my old band had played like a few shows with the Nation Blue, and I always just thought, this is like, he's a really good bass player, but I reckon he would just like
felt comfortable.
Understand what it is that I'm trying to achieve. So I was like, oh, are you doing any music at the moment? I don't know, like maybe we could have a chat, because I've got this idea to start quite a heavy band, and you know, these are the references, these are some of the riffs that we've been working on. And when we sat down, we ultimately just had some very simple intentions, and that was to just play with bands that we like, and being that was it. Like, we just want to do things. We've both been through that scenario of being in a struggling band, I guess, and like playing to no one on a Tuesday night. You know,
gets old.
Let's eliminate these like morally damaging scenarios. So how can we do it? How can we just, you know,
have a great time?
Yeah. How can we do things with like with the things that we've learned from the past, and try and approach the band in that way? So and it's been incredible. Like that was it. Like, we just wanted to do that. I just wanted to play with hardcore bands and have that goal kind of ticked off. In my previous band, that was really incredible, and we had all these incredible opportunities. But I never got to play with like any of my favorite
backstage sucked.
Essentially, like, it was that spirit of punk and hardcore that was the important aspect to me. But in the context of like what we were doing, it wasn't. I didn't feel fulfilled.
Yeah. It wasn't kind of it wasn't like touching that spot that is thing that has that transcendental feeling.
Yeah.
No, there's something really cool about, like, I interviewed someone who was a huge hero of mine. She directed Wayne's World, and it was really funny because she actually led me. She did this like triple documentary series about heavy metal and glam and then alternative music. And she takes the piss out of glam rock so hard. Got Dave Mustaine, he's kind of talking about thrash and why thrash, that kind of ethos, which was more about having a lot of integrity, that survived, whereas glam rock kind of, where I want to be rich and famous, and I've got this big hair and the girls, and it's like, it's actually the complete antithesis. Like, the first one was 1979 Los Angeles, and she's going to like fear shows and all this stuff, and there's no phones. Yeah. And everyone's really, really into it, and it's like they notice the camera by the second one. It's like MTV kind of happened, but she was kind of capturing these worlds, and there's something really primal about it. The thing about it as well, the kind of people who are not put off by music and are not, it's in their realm, like they've got a broader realm. They're often a bit more open-minded. Yeah, I find, like, you know, their non-traditional values is non-traditional music.
I feel like I don't know. It is very, like, I mean, I have to listen to metal regularly. Like, mainly on the highway, I have like shred on the Monash, and then now it's like having a hoon on the Eastern or whatever. And it like sets me up for the day. And, you know, when you talk about being primal and, you know, the integrity of thrash, for example, I think it does need to, you know, it's a different league of like maybe music fans that can pick up if something is inauthentic. And I think that for a lot of metal fans, like true metal fans, or however you want to describe it, it is about authenticity. And it is, you know, your music has to transcend that to be able to communicate in that way and to
have truth.
Yeah.